Who or what are the Angels of Atlantis, and are they all around us?
The Angels of Atlantis call themselves thus because it's a palatable form for today. They're all messengers of the divine. They're all refractions of that extraordinary light that is the supreme intelligence of the source. We have the sound of the angel's song within our soul, within our frequency, within our physiology. So we're listening posts in oceans of sound, and that all we have to do is to tune back into that, and their intelligence floods through us.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to connect with the Archangels at an even deeper level, then do we have the Angels of Atlantis show for you. Today I'll be talking with Stewart Pearce, longtime friend, voice coach to Princess Diana, and the author of several brilliant books, including Diana, the Voice of Change, and the Angels of Atlantis. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about the Angels of Atlantis, who they are, how to connect with them, and how they can bring great positive change and peace in your life. So welcome to the show, Stewart. Are you ready to shine?
Well, I feel I'm shining. I hope I am.
Woohoo!
After all, being in your presence and creating this level of rapport, it's always about coherence and the coherent frequency of pure lightning.
Thank you. And I like that, the frequency of pure lightning. So I don't know your exact story. I'm very curious. If we were to go back 35 years ago to the frequency of pure lightning, how did the Angels of Atlantis come to you?
Well, it was during the harmonic convergence. It was August 15, 16, 17, 1987. And a friend of mine had opened a crystal store in a small town called Glastonbury in Somersetshire in the United Kingdom, which, as most people know, is the heart chakra of the world. And he said to me, why don't you come down to be in the store and provide people with 15-minute or 20-minute readings? Because I was, at that time I was working as a voice coach, but also awakening to the deep-seated mysticism that had always burgeoned through me. And so I thought, well, it sounds like a really great idea to have fun. And I love crystals. My whole life was surrounded by crystals. So I went down to Glastonbury. And indeed, I served as many people as I could and felt this extraordinary level of fatigue. And by that time, of course, I'd been to India and met extraordinary teachers there who said, whenever you need to tune in to receive a refueling, go and meditate. So I thought, okay, during my lunch break, I'll go up onto the high hill known as the Tor, and I'll meditate. And whilst I was meditating, I heard a series of extraordinary sounds. I mean, really, high harmonic overtones. And I opened my eyes, and in front of me were 12 huge orbs of light. And a voice sounded inside me that I remember, it's so moving. I remember hearing as a child, and the voice said to me, we are the Angels of Atlantis, and we provide you with a temple of sound healing that you will call the alchemy of voice. And a light shone through my heart, and I thought I was having a heart attack, to be frank. The whole of my frequency shifted in the most extraordinary way. And I remember turning to the person sitting next to me, whom I didn't know, to say, do you see what I'm seeing? And he said, oh, yeah, man. Obviously, he was under the influence of something which was quite ecstatic for him, but he wasn't seeing what I was seeing. And then for about 10 years, they showed me the way and taught me, which meant really, when the student is ready, the masters come. And so I kept bumping into, on the path of life, these extraordinary teachers.
You spent 10 years bathing in their light, bathing in their frequency. What did you learn about Atlantis? We're going to go to them, but what did you learn about Atlantis, and what happened to Atlantis?
What did I learn about Atlantis? Oh my God, where do I begin? I mean, there's so much to say, isn't there? That part of the frame of the paradigm of Atlantis that they gave me, the gestalt of Atlantis, was that it was a civilization that existed from approximately 250,000 BC to 10,000 BC, and that there approximately, whatever the absolute chronology was, and that there was a hybrid period of probably about 1,000 or 1,500 years in the middle of that period, where the elevation of spirituality on the planet was so supreme that the people who lived, who are obviously interstellar travelers, they knew exactly where they were from, to come to this unique cosmic experiment called planet Earth, to experience what it is to be a soul incarnate through water and through oxygen in the most extraordinary way. And they lived this existence whereby they were able to create a protective membrane around the civilization so that weather conditions were stabilized. And that, I believe, is what the fable of Eden is really all about. They were obviously living a 12 helix DNA. Then the story begins, vast facets of information about the way that they lived in the civilization, through the communities that they lived in, and the way that they practiced their spirituality as a movement back to wholeness, so that they could actually feel themselves in warm embrace of the divine. The point of completion is interesting, because a lot of people are traumatized by it. And I believe that that's a very human perception, a very human perspective of where we are now, having gone through particularly what we've gone through over the last 450 years in terms of the development of our consciousness. Whereas all that I hear from the angels is that we knew what was going to take place. It was a point of completion rather than a point of destruction, because after all, they were experiencing feeling as a soulful capacity in a very different way from the way that we're experiencing it today.
It's interesting. So I have a birth of a baby coming up in a few weeks, and her name actually, I got Ooga Booga as I was going through your book here today and going through your cards. We'll get there in a minute. However, birth and death to me, and particularly having had 2 near-death experiences, they're just portals. They're just doors to another place. If we judge somebody based on did they die well, you negate maybe their entire lifetime. And I believe that's what you're saying about Atlantis. If we judge Atlantis just based on the fact that they're no longer here, you miss the point.
I wasn't necessarily referring to that. I was really talking about the blanket of trauma that so many people associate with the end times of Atlantis. Whereas I believe that we knew, because of the lives that we're living, the level of frequency that we were living at, we knew what was taking place. So we were aware of that area of the society where electrocrystallography was being used through genetic experimentation and the development of nuclear fusion. We knew what was going on, and we knew that there was an area today that we would refer to as being nefarious. We knew this. And so we decided to recolonize the entire civilization in different areas of the world after the great shift, which people talk about, the great cataclysm. That's the information that I've been given.
Very good. So let's go from there. And it's interesting that you're obviously plugged in, you're obviously channeling, and you actually went to a state of we from a they, which was very interesting. Who or what are the angels of Atlantis? And are they all around us?
Well, the angels are ubiquitous, so yes, they are all around us. The Angels of Atlantis call themselves thus because it's a palatable form for today, a palatable term for today, which is very exciting because whenever you mention the word Atlantis in the spiritual community, in the human potential movement, everybody gets excited. And actually, they're very ancient beings that go all the way back into Kabbalah, and they're known as the Malakim, and how the Malakim were the royal angels that overlit the presence of the Malkai Zadek. So this is what I was given as an interpretation from a senior rabbi Kabbalist within Kabbalah.
Very, very nice. Is there a difference? And we're going to go through each one of the archangels, if that works for you. Is there a difference between saying the archangels of Atlantis and simply the archangels?
Well, they don't talk about the archangels of Atlantis. They talk about the angels of Atlantis. And the reason why they do this is because there's a distortion in our consciousness about the nature of hierarchy, because we associate hierarchy with the patriarchy. Actually, the word means the rule of the sacred, but of course we've debased the word because of the way that the relativism of the patriarchy functions. And of course, there's a big thesis about that today, because we're all looking into the patriarchal establishment and realizing that we need to unplug from it because it's not effectively being what we were hoping it would be.
Taking that to angels, from what I'm understanding, is you do not have one angel, hey, let's play with this term, lording over other angels or telling other angels what in the world to do.
Absolutely. And after all, they're all messengers of the divine. They're all refractions of that extraordinary light that is the Hallow Kodesh, that is the supreme intelligence of the source, the Father, Mother, God.
Thank you. So let's go through some of the angels. Actually, I want to introduce all of them so we can kind of get an idea. In particular, I want to get to number 2. But angel number 1, and this is without hierarchy. That's the whole theme here, is without hierarchy. But number 1 that you introduce, Gabriel, the supernal messenger of God.
Well, the only reason why you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is because it's alphabetical. It just made it easier for my publisher, EALM, etc., etc. So the interesting thing about them as these beings of extraordinary light and the way that they interface with human consciousness is that they each have a role. They each have a role which for us is an archetypal concept. So they're key. I believe that the archetypes are keys into our consciousness. So, for example, Gabriel is the great messenger.
So then I've got to dive in. I've got to parse this. They're the archetypal keys. What exactly does that mean? So I want people to be able to leave here today and to go to Gabriel, which they can, when they want, which they can, and to get that assistance when they want, which they can. But what does an archetypal key mean to us, and what is it unlocking?
Well, actually, what I said was that the archetypes are keys into our consciousness. And there's a wonderful story around it, which I'll give you to inflate or amplify what I'm about to share. So I believe that the key into our consciousness allows us to recognize a particular part of the matrix, that we all understand the concept of the great messenger. We all understand that deep within ourselves because we all receive messages. The question, in my experience, as a pro voice coach, is how do we begin to communicate the effectiveness of what that message is all about? And so, for example, if we're feeling stagnant in our creative energy, if we're feeling stuck, which many people are saying to me at the moment, I feel stuck. In I guess in classical psychotherapy as a definition, it's the fertile void, which I love, because it feels like nothing is going on, but actually we're steeping in deep fermentation. It's just the forefront of our consciousness gets antsy because we're impatient. We can touch into the vital flow of ourselves as sound messengers, so that we feel, once more, we return to harmony because we feel sound. And all we have to do is to feel sound. And that's one of the reasons why the angels are always surrounded by sound, meaning if we look at them in stained glass windows, we see them with trumpets or with lyre or harps, or their mouths are open.
So then what would the sound be of Gabriel?
Well, his name, or her name, its name, Gabriel. And in fact, if anybody's interested, I've made a whole series of recordings in remarkable chambers like the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid of their names, where I simply chant their names and try to remember the original seeding that I was given, the sound code seeding that I was given when they first came to me. So it would be Gabriel or Gabriel, or in Arabic is Jibril.
Very, very good. And so Gabriel, Jibril, from what I understand, having to do with our baby coming in, selects souls from heaven, spends 9 months with them, and then goes, shh, baby. What's going on?
I love that. Isn't that so? It's such a wonderful piece of anthropomorphic energy. And so Gabriel provides us with an understanding of what our soul quest will be, gives us the message of our soul quest, and obviously has a very close relationship with Metatron, the supernal teacher, who has the key into the Akashic. And so they have this conversation and allow all of this wonderful juice to percolate down like ambrosia or nectar into the soulful consciousness that is about to incarnate. And then that's why this is the explanation with this wonderful little indentation here on the upper lip. But Gabriel does this, and we're introduced to anesthesia.
Is there a time we want to go to Gabriel specifically?
Yeah, when we feel that we're directionless, and when we wish to gain messages, or, for example, when we wish to step forward as successful communicators. This may be because there's a conflict in the family, and we're trying to find a way of bringing forth peace, or carefrontation, as I call it, rather than confrontation. And we need inspirational guidance, and Gabriel is there to provide that.
Very, very cool. Now, angel number 2 on this list, based alphabetically, this one was a mind blower because we have had 3 miscarriages, twins where one was lost and one is coming through, and we knew that 3 of these times was the same spirit girl coming through. And her name is Hana, Hana. What can you tell us about Archangel Hanael?
Well, Hanael is known as the sacred warrior. In other words, Hanael teaches. Hanael is a red ruby color. Ruby is interesting as a word that means the jewel of princes. So it's very associated with the princely caste of the warrior, meaning the individual who has courage, bravery, determination, steadfastness, and if there is a lack of intention, brings in hope to refuel the intention to create whatever we are about creating when we're not getting there because of a lapse of time or fatigue, or there are points of resistance that come in our way and flow isn't as adroit as we would like it to be. Hanael comes in and says, screw your courage to the sticking place and you'll not fail, which is a little bit of Shakespeare.
And if we are to give the themes for each one of the angels, so we had Gabriel, the themes would be balance, benediction, grace, inspiration. If we go to Hanael, we're looking at, as you said, through Shakespeare, courage, hope, integrity, willpower.
Wow, you're such a good student. Thank you.
This also means, because words have a frequency, and we were discussing this off air, that an L means of God. So the angel Hanael coming through, I think I may have said archangel by accident before, but the angel Hanael coming through, or Hanael in our case, Hana coming through, may be, as we call Hanael, a fire-filled sacred warrior. Is it not so?
Interesting, huh? And of course, there may be relativity, and I'd need to do a little bit of work about the etymology of Hana, going into the depth of the Old Testament and Hannah with Sarah, and how significant she was, that she was very brave and forthright and spoke her mind.
I think we've got our hands full in a beautiful way. I think we have our hands full. So when do you call on Hana? We're going to be calling on her. She's going to be calling on, it'll go both ways. When do we call on Hanael?
When we're lacking will, when our fire center is feeling thwarted, when we lack bravery, when we lack courage, when we feel thwarted by circumstances that can often be quite oppressive, and we're lacking hope. The interesting thing is, if we keep going to that 11th hour, Hanael always comes in and says, have another go. And that's when we achieve it. And of course, that's when I believe, when we experience optimized, cultivated triumph.
And I can't help but take it personally and go, woohoo, because this was our 4th go.
Wow. The number of the Empress.
Tell me more, please.
In ancient numerology, the number of the Empress, where there's a meeting of the unconscious mind with the conscious. We're seeing that she's predestined to be this remarkable human being who will be a very powerful warrior. I suddenly feel the element of Diana, the warrior element of Diana, coming in to literally be like an extraordinary meteor moving through the earth plane and inspirationally awakening so many human beings to a greater promise of a new tomorrow.
No pressure. I love it. Let's go. Thank you. Let's go to.
You're both very powerful, so you're bound to bring in something that's really powerful, and that also, in through your own incarnatory pathway, tests you both.
So, well, that's it. Everything I've gotten out of my channeling suggests and we already know this, that our kids maybe they always are our elders, and in this case, I know it. I know her, and I know Miraku, who's her twin, who will be coming along if the opportunity is there afterwards. They are my seniors. I may be guiding them in their early years, but make no mistake about it, I should not stand in their way. They must birth forth their own beingness, which is in every way as powerful or more powerful than I am.
Wow, there's a precognition. I hope I'm around. I look forward to meeting that, because it was so wonderful when the master can be humble to bow to the student, because the student is becoming the super master. I mean, how wonderful, I feel that that's the birthright of the entirety of what my work is all about. That, I have this title, Master of Voice, that literally people can become their own master, so that I can sit and literally watch their triumphs and feel the vicarious pleasure of the wonder of what they're creating.
That is the goal. If the master is about playing the role of the master, then the master is lost in the role.
Yeah. It's ego.
So let's go from there. Let's go to, I'm not even sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, but Jophiel, the Holy Liberator?
Jophiel. Yes, Jophiel, the Holy Liberator.
What can you tell us? Forgiveness, joy, liberation, meditation. What do we get to know about Jophiel? And Jophiel is all about my favorite color, yellow.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Jophiel comes as this wonderful citrine, brilliant citrine. And yellow, on that level of vibration, we always see as a liberating influence, which is one of the reasons I believe why it's worn in Tibetan Buddhism, because it allows mental detachment, which always takes us into that discernment where we feel liberated from the challenges of our emotional bodies that can often be quite heavy. So Jophiel liberates, literally. So if you feel stuck, call in Jophiel through prayer, through affirmation, through incantation. And Jophiel will always come in and prise open whatever the situation is so that you can fly high. There's a wonderful, I have the oracle just here. There's of course, this wonderful card of Jophiel, this beautiful, this is joy.
Beautiful. And for those who can't see it, this is a dolphin jumping over, I can picture it in the water now, jumping out of the water in joy with this amazing, brighter than the sun light above it.
Which is Jophiel. Because they always come as orbs, you see. And there's another Jophiel.
This is perfect. You're just pulling out the cards and Jophiel is coming there.
It's all Jophiel. That's so funny. The card that I was thinking of is this one, which is just underneath, where you see the angel, the eagle rather, that is obviously this is Jophiel, the orb of Jophiel, but the eagle is always seen to be the totem or the medicine animal for our soul flying high. So, in other words, Jophiel, the holy liberator, liberates us to the conviction of how our souls can fly high.
So, Stewart, if we're feeling stuck, if we're feeling almost everybody right now is feeling like we're living in Ground Hog Day. We're here again. What is a prayer? What is a chant? What is one way we can open the door and call Jophiel in?
Dear Jophiel, surround me with your wings of light and allow your divine intelligence like nectar to drop into the extraordinary nature of my crown chakra. Please identify the easiest and most flowing route for me to release myself from this point of resistance. Please hear that I surrender my heart to you, as I always will, knowing that your divine intelligence is something that I am part of, but I am also in absolute awe of. Thank you for your constant presence in my life, and so it is. Amen.
Woohoo! Beautiful.
And then something happens.
You've opened the door with frequency.
Absolutely. If only we can just yield to the understanding that these beautiful thoughts of God, these angelus, these angels are with us all the time, and that there's no way that we could ever feel alone.
To yield, to me, requires space, silence, a moment of no thing. And when the world is spinning around us by design, not bad, just by design for our evolution is how I see it, it is incredibly, it's an intense practice to be brave enough to take a moment in no thing, to yield, to hear them.
Totally. I'm with it completely. I'm there. Surrendering. Hence, I surrender my heart to you, which means that we can move into that wonderful sense of stillness. I believe that that's the frequency through which they live. That's where the divine lives. And that our action, our dynamism, is what we're charged with to optimize our creativity full of love and joy, to bring the divine through into all that we achieve. And when I say that, all that we achieve that we consider to be a triumph, that we achieve that we see to be a lesser triumph, we know are the wonderful lessons that come to teach us who we truly are rather than what we have become.
So important. And to me, that is a matter of following. Let's look at the divine harp, an angel carrying a harp. Each one of those strings is attached to your heart. Which string are you going to choose to play? That's the greatest triumph, is choosing those strings and no other.
So what is the answer? Which string?
To me, the one which pulls you the most. There is no right, there is no wrong, but these divine strings are the instruments we get to pray. And there is no such thing to me as a life lost, but maybe, without judgment, a great life is one where you are brave enough to play the strings that have been gifted upon your heart.
Beautiful. I can completely concur. And so the insight that they've given me is that we each have a note. We each have a string. We each have a frequency, which is the song of our soul.
There are this angelic, etheric music that to me is the symphony of the universes. It is the symphony of everything. You, Stewart, have your own beautiful, magical note, which is absolutely necessary and would be totally missing, which means you are infinitely important if you weren't there playing that note for this divine symphony. I have a note. Everyone listening has a note. Your note matters because the music wouldn't be the same without you, period, period, period.
Fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely fascinating. And that each note moves into the consort of the extraordinary orchestra of creation. Do you know the story that I believe is Hafiz of how sound and angels became linked?
No, I would love to hear it.
So the story is that the Divine One, in his or her intelligence, created a statue of clay in his or her own image, and asked the soul to enter the statue of clay. But the soul refused because the soul was ubiquitous. Why would it want to be contained within a statue of clay? And so the Divine One asked the angels to sing a seraphic chorus. And the soul was so enchanted that the soul agreed to enter the statue of clay. And so began Adam Kadmon. So so we have the sound of the angel's song within our soul, within our frequency, within our physiology. And that all we have to do is to tune back into that, and their intelligence floods through us.
Which means to bring it home to a master of voice. This physical body of clay, I'm a walking, talking representation, not representation, I am literally of the earth, is the instrument to play this note.
We should do this more often.
This is fun, Stewart.
This huge force. There's a vortex spinning around us. So we're listening posts in oceans of sound. Fascinating, huh? You know, there's a theory it's in Kabbalah that when the newborn child incarnates and the great roar of life comes, meaning when the child literally enters forth from the birth canal and breathes the first breath and then sounds that note off, that sound goes off throughout the universe or the multiverse forever. Isn't that amazing? So maybe I was talking with Dr. Linda Backman last evening, who's one of the great regressionists, and that maybe one of the ways through into understanding more about our past lives, if we need to, and what our karma is and how we can resolve it, all we need to do is get on those wonderful floating energies of frequency. And as soon as we plug in, it takes us right back to that incarnation.
So to riff off of you, where are we going with this today? You went to plug in, and when you moved your hand to plug in, I call it a hotel key of the universe. When you go to a hotel, they will charge your key with a frequency, which will open up the door. When you go back to a particular memory, when you go back to a particular sound, I know during NDE number 2, as I came back and I'm getting downloads of who knows what, I still haven't understood everything that I got. I started singing a song, and that song will bring me back in a moment, but opens up infinite doors for me. And we all have this song inside of us.
Wow. So this is what I was referring to. How extraordinary, because you've just opened, in expressing the story in the way that you did, you just opened that extraordinary latitude to us. Wow. So could you feel that crackling? That was extraordinary. So the bandwidth is open. Wow. And of course, it would take one of the soul journey people like yourself who have gone twice, not once.
You don't need to be an overachiever here.
Come back. Because I remember when we first met all those years ago in Hawaii, and you told me, oh, wow, yeah, it was extraordinary. So how extraordinary, wow. I mean, I have many questions tumbling through me, but that's going off on a segue. Amazing. So this is what Jophiel is able to do. Evidently, Jophiel is able to allow us to feel transcendent in the movement of liberation between our physical form and pure spirit.
Beautiful. So let's go from there. And as the questions come through, feel free. We'll just play it back and forth. I'll keep bringing it back to the Angels of Atlantis. But this is beautiful, and I can't wait to see where we go. In the beginning. In the beginning, this sounds like the beginning of the story of creation. But in the beginning today, there was Metatron. Can you tell us about Metatron?
Well, I'm taught that there were two angels that were originally human beings, and one of them was Metatron, who was the prophet Enoch, who wrote the book of creation. And of course, the divine was immensely pleased. And then there's a lovely little connection between Metatron and Radziel, but I'll return to that later. So Metatron stands on the right-hand side of the divine. In other words, the human being who was the prophet Enoch, who was the great scientist, the great magi, the great astronomer, lived for 2,500 years or whatever, and was seen to be so pure in the eyes of the Lord that he was invited into heaven and rose, it says in the book of Ezekiel, in a chariot of fire, which I believe was the Merkabah, into heaven to sit on the right-hand side of the divine. Apparently that's important, to be on the right-hand side of the divine, because he has the key into the Akashic record. So if we ever want to know more about past incarnations, or we have karmic ribbons that we want to interpret or to resolve, to burn off, then one of the best people to go to, I say people, but one of the best angels, was they're so living for me. They feel like the fabric of human beings and the other elemental forms that I know on planet Earth, is to go to Metatron.
So many guests recently, I look at themes. There's always a continuity of conversations that takes place between recent guests. And so I had Colette Barron-Reed talking about past lives, future progressions. I had on Ainsley McLeod talking about how to tell you're an old soul and how to heal through your past lives. And what I'm hearing now about Metatron is if we ask for healing with our past lives, because our past lives literally can create responses, triggers, us being whack jobs, so to speak, because we hit something from the past, but we can go to Metatron to help us to heal.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And of course, we are talking about an intelligence that is ubiquitous. So there are many tools. It's a big toolkit.
What does a white diamond light have to do with Metatron?
Well, Metatron for me always arrives as a beautiful diamond, white diamond, or if you like, quartz crystal, which is that extraordinary aspect of the Christos, that pure silver white light going higher and higher and higher into the Halo Kodesh. I see the Christos as being the love light circuitry of the universe, going right up into the galactic heart. And Metatron is a frequency of that supreme intelligence, and therefore the unconditional love that pours forth from Metatron is always so exquisite. I feel that there is within Metatron a balance between the divine feminine and the divine male. So Isis energy always comes very powerfully through, or Sophia often comes powerfully through that silver white light of Metatron. Metatron is a powerful key into the Akashic.
Thank you. Is there a particular prayer that we would say to Metatron to turn that key?
Is there a particular I make prayers up, so okay.
Hold on one sec. I'm gonna tune in to everyone here. A prayer for healing for some past wound for everyone that we may not even be aware of on a conscious level, that creates a pattern in our life that just keeps repeated until it's cleared. And you just pulled the card, Divine Intelligence.
Isn't that interesting, of going right into that filament energy that you're describing? Okay, so let's go there. Dear Metatron, please hear your humble servants as we are here summoning your presence, beseeching from you the divine nectar of your intelligence. Please feel the fervor of this extraordinary intention that burns through our hearts as the seat of our soul. Please help us at this time of unique becoming on planet Earth, where we feel that there is a vast karmic lesion that needs to be healed, considering our ancestral line. Please bring to the forefront of our intelligence any information that is necessary for us to find a way of healing this karmic ribbon, this bonding, so that we may be free forever. And as we do, as we find this freeness ourselves, that you open us to the eternal paths of freedom, so that we may allow this particular broadcast to be transmuted and transported amongst all of our brothers and sisters. And so it is. Amen.
Amen and woohoo. Thank you. Now let's go from there. Obviously, it's a name that might be a little dear to my heart. Let's go to Michael. Enchantment, I am presence, transmutation, patience. In fact, and I'd love it if you can do a reading with us in a little bit. I was using your cards this morning, the Angel of Atlantis, and I just kept pulling the same darn card. Michael, patience.
Which we need a lot of at this time, don't we? Because we feel this huge gestation within us. We know that something is brewing, and we look into our world. After all, we've just gone through 4 years of Mr. Trump, 2 years of global pandemic, and now we're looking at Ukraine and wondering if Mr. Putin is going to put his finger on the button. And there's all of that going on as we see the geopolitical nature of our world changing. And then we realize that wherever there is that darkness, there is also an equanimity of light, and there is this burgeoning and becoming of the light. So no wonder patience comes up. I believe that patience is the time distance between visualization and manifestation. The question is, how big would you like it to be? Do you want it to be that big or this big?
As a creator like yourself, I'm going to go to the movie The Secret here, for example. I rarely go there, but there is, and this is a conversation I've been having with Spirit almost on a daily basis. They're going, you want it to be this close. That would be the elephant falling out of the sky into your living room. You don't want that. This gestation period of 9 or 10 months, for instance, is essential for our individual growth. Leave it alone. Let the gestation period be whatever it needs to be.
We have to yield, gang. We have to surrender. And that's what we're really learning. And I feel that patience is a great buoyant energy that leads us to an understanding of how we can allow our own will to become one with divine will. And that's really what I mean by, but you know, Michael, what I also feel about this notion of patience is that we become fixated in the thought mechanism. And actually, what the angels are asking for us to feel is that feeling is the language of the soul. And that if we can muster what we wish to feel in the manifestational process, that literally the space-time continuum is distorted and it ceases being, when is this going to happen, into happening.
That is the hotel key. It is the frequency. Get in the emotional state. Leave the darn details alone, but get in the frequency of what you desire.
This is a very unusual conversation, Michael. I need you to know that. I've been teaching, speaking, in being interviewed about these angels for 35 years. This is the first time that I've met someone like yourself who is able to articulate these extraordinary paradigms and these wonderful experiences. And from the bottom of my heart and the very depths of my soul, I say thank you.
Now I don't have words. Thank you, Stewart, my brother.
So Michael is the cosmic leader. Michael is very active at this time. Why? Because I believe we're discovering our spiritual sovereignty. And so the great I am presence comes into one's consciousness of how can we discover that? Who am I?
So this is a loaded question, and I'm a little skittish about asking it. How important is it? And I say that because I understand we can say, well, it's not important at all. But how important is it as we are embodying? I believe we all chose to join this 2022 party, like we joined the 2012 party. We chose out of all of the beings in all of the universes to be here at this time. How important is it to call in Michael for the light and for assistance at this time?
Champion. Amazingly important. After all, Michael is hovering over Kiev and the Ukrainian people. I had the pleasure of meeting President Zelensky some ways back, and Michael was standing next to him, so to speak. I always see the angels as beams of light or orbs of light. I've always had this desire to see a human being with wings, and I've always been thwarted. But I understand some of my angelological colleagues do see them as such. I've always seen them as orbs, and there was this beam of light that has been with me since I can remember that I see as Michael. But Michael, interestingly, appears in this canon of activity, these 12, as an amethyst or purple or violet orb. I'm going to find him so I can show you. Please, Michael, show me the I Am Presence card, because I love you and I think you're absolutely wonderful. Oh, even better, maybe. Enchantment.
Beautiful. So we've got a unicorn and we have this beautiful violet, indigo, purple color there. Oh, I can feel it.
Isn't that amazing? Because Michael works with Saint Germain in relation to the violet flame.
Let's actually go there for a minute, then let's do a reading. I don't know that we're going to get through all the cards today, all of the angels to get, but that would also have a frequency to it, and maybe not the one we want to gift people. That's the one you can go on your local news, negative worthless stimulation show.
Everybody will get it subliminally.
There's truth to this. Many times I will bring people to the violet blue flame of Saint Germain. To me, it is so incredibly important. What does it mean to you? When do you bring people there?
Well, anti-chronologically all the time. What does it mean to me? What else is there? Saint Germain has been my guide for 50 years. And so I know really led me to the angels. The belief that the violet flame is one of the most ancient practices that we have for the alchemical nature of transmutation, that we can literally take negative and turn it into positive. We can take the base metal and turn it into gold. I mean, for me, that's what the whole of my life is all about. I recognize my shadow. I'm nearly 70, and I've lived this earth life seeing my shadow as well as my triumph. And so I take the shadow and I pour it into the violet flame. And there I am, living the excellence of my being through humility, through unconditional love, through compassion, through empathy. But Michael is really strong as well. There is a sword of truth.
What I love, this is beautiful. And I want to get to a reading here in a second. For years, I've called myself an alchemist. Now I have a school of mystics and mysticism where we take the empath, the person who's come here as a highly evolved soul, super sensitive, and I help them to recognize their gifts, to be able to play with energy, to take it in, to tai chi it around, to work with their shadow, and send back out pure love. That's what you're talking about as an alchemist, is working with these energies today, Stewart.
Well, it takes another alchemist to know this, and I didn't know that you had a school of alchemy. I want to join immediately.
You are invited. You are most certainly invited. All right, would you mind, I have my deck here, but you have your deck there. Would you mind doing a reading? First off, let's do a reading for everyone here today, because this is more important. Certainly, Jessica and I are always on our edge of our seats, wanting to know the ineffable, so to speak. It will turn out as it turns out, Michael, patience. But let's do a reading for everyone first.
The interesting of its patience. So, shall we ask the oracle, which I'd love you to blow or breathe into? Beautiful. So your soul is wow. Soul is that's really hot. Your soul is within the 44 cards. 44, master number meaning spiritual purity, associated with Atlantis, the angelic kingdoms, with Lemuria or Mu, but also the 44 codons or strands of DNA that are dormant in our bodies. So really, each of these cards is a stimulant for microbiology. Through the pathway of feeling is the language of the soul. Shall I choose the top card and the bottom card?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, there are two angels that we haven't seen thus far. I was joking, as it wasn't my patience. There is Shamael, who is the divine guide, this wonderful lilac orb. And this particular card is new beginnings. And so here is the feminine countenance of your collective, that you're the mainspring for this extraordinary collective of human souls and other elementals that are with us now, walking towards the dawning sun, the dawning day, the dawning projects, the dawning way of being, the dawning creativity, having resolved shadow, having resolved the emotional plane. That's the first card. And the second card is leading through Uriel, this wonderful pink, the eternal companion, leading you towards divine friendship.
Now, if we are to read this for others, what is the message that you see? I can see it. I can see several beautiful messages, but I want to hear from the master.
Well, okay, so quest is accomplished. Karma is behind and resolved, is being washed by the water currents of the ocean, because you see the rivulets of the sand. This is beautiful. So new dawning, new day, new love, new projects, new way of being, new thinking, new paradigm, new golden kingdom of excellence, where you're going to find divine friendship. This is a photograph I took of two Hindi girls. They were very young. You can see they're topless. So they were very, very young. And they were looking at the Indian Ocean. And I thought the love that existed between the two of them, they came walking towards the sand, holding arm in arm. And they sat looking at the drenching sun as it went down. But we're dealing with water in both images. So evidently, the liquidity of our emotional life is coming into play, but water is associated with our emotions, with our feeling states. So here is the substance of future promise, that we're cleansing all of our negative codependent relationships and moving into sacred co-creativity. I feel a prophecy coming on.
Beautiful. And I love that it's going to water. There's a reason that I put us here by the water. I can hear Jessica in my head going, what do you mean? You put us here? We put ourselves. Wait a second. She put us here. There we go. By the water. Because I believe we need the cooling, grounding nature of water, which is the element of rebirth that we're talking about. Beginnings always has to do with water and earth, but water. But we all need that element of water, not too much, but water at this time.
And of course, going back to Atlantis, the so-called cataclysm was finished by the great sinking of Atlantis when the waters covered the planet. There was obviously a shift of axis, 180 degrees. And so new life came from the water, which it always does. I mean, this is a water planet, isn't it? And we're only really just discovering how important water is within us. I find that fascinating. What is happening within the water molecule? That's what's interesting. And it feels to me that it's an electromagnetic transmitter for the grace of feeling.
That goes back to very old school. I can't believe I'm going to say old school. And I believe I was filmed for a documentary recently by Betsy Chassie. She made the documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? And I believe Dr. Emoto was in there. This is kicking it old school with Dr. Emoto, which is to say everything we're talking about is frequency today. Everything is a vibration. The more that you bathe, there's the water, bathe in the frequency of the sound, of the word, of the angels, of the story, of the note, of the music, the more it literally transforms you at a cellular level and as above so low, to the micro, to the macro, on every level of your existence.
Wow. Wow. That was fluid. Phew. That went all the way through me. Wow. I'm mesmerized. How amazing. I'm speechless virtually.
All right, we'll make it easy for you. Would you mind doing a reading then for Jessica and myself? And maybe for baby Hana, however it comes out.
For the three of you.
Yes.
So we should have 3 cards.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I'm shuffling again within the energy field of your intention, and I feel that it's a multi-purpose intention. It has many desires and many aspects of your fervor. Very understandably, that was interesting. One just flew out. I think we should have that one.
Absolutely.
Wow, that doesn't often happen. And of course, understandably, because it's been an interesting journey for you both, the little that I know, with two children being in utero and then one deciding not to come through into the fullness of human life, but one coming very soon. And of course, you know that she's a she. 1, 2. Oh, I love it. I love it. These cards are just so extraordinary. I can't wait to show you what's come through. Okay, so the card that slipped out is Sandalphon, this wonderful amber orb. This is the card of evolution. And so all these different imprints of Sandalphon, there are 12, are showing the extraordinary evolutionary pathway of what's taking place. Sandalphon is the guardian of the planet and therefore the guardian of our physical experience.
I am beyond speechless because I do automatic writing, Stewart, on a daily basis, and there are levels to the talk, and I have been getting, as I'm doing automatic writing, somebody has been breaking into my automatic writing and going, "Hi, I'm here. I'm ready. Are you ready? Who is this?" And I keep getting Sandalphon, Sandalphon, Sandalphon. And Sandalphon is encouraging me to take this extra time, which I haven't found the space yet. And oh my God, I will, to talk, because Sandalphon is a guardian, is a protector. And also, from what I understand, Sandalphon is the guardian of the unborn child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And very closely associated with the moon, the goddess of the moon being the protector of the unborn child. And Sandalphon, of course, means twin brother and is the brother of Metatron. Was the prophet Elijah, said there were 2 angels, Metatron and Sandalphon, that were originally human beings. Was the prophet Elijah? And I don't know if you can remember, but when we first met, and you said, "Hi, I'm Michael Sandler," and I said, "Wow, what have you got to do with Elijah?" And it's Sandalphon. This is so pretty. This is so beautiful. Metatron comes through, the supernal teacher with the born child, and the notion of miracles are going to be created. What greater miracle could there be but the born child? How did this little baby, get created through that meeting of the sperm and the ovum?
Let's take it to a next level. The baby who gave up her life so that one could come through. And it was actually a very hard decision we had to make, to save one baby to let the other go. And we know she'll double back around. Her name is Miraku, which means miracle.
Wow, 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 wow.
So, and she said, "I will always be with Hana, whether in physical form or not." So what you just gave me there was both of my babies in that card.
I have angel bumps all over me. That literally my spine, my pranic cord has just gone. This is extraordinary. So the evolutionary pathway of Sandalphon leading into the extraordinary intelligence of Metatron and the miraculous nature of your child that's coming forth, and how she will change both your lives and therefore the life of your whole community, your communion. What for? So in comes Zadkiel, the angel of sacred love, this wonderful carnelian orb, and this is the highest vibrational influence in the 44 cards. It is divine compassion. And here is St. Francis of Assisi, the great soulful exponent of divine compassion. So your child will be the electrified force of compassion, will be the personification or the embodiment of compassion, and will broadcast it through her unique creativity around the world. Hallelujah! Wow, 3 amazing cards.
Wordless. And wow, 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 wow. Hopeful, hope-filled. I want everyone to dive into the angels more. There is a technology of hope. There is a frequency of hope. There is a musical note of hope. Actually, there's a harmony, a symphony. We know that Hana is coming through. In my soul of soul, I know she'll be fine. Now, she's expected, based on the story, to need a cardiac procedure soon after she's born because her heart had to basically pump for 2 when she was in utero. And these cards, I know she's coming through. I'll know she's going to be fine. And yet, at the same time, they give me even more hope, Stewart. Thank you. Pulled one more card, of course. No way.
It's the willpower.
Yeah, from Hanael. Of course.
And, this shot was taken off the coast of Maui. And here is the tail fin of a great sperm whale, of course, So, it's...
She's coming through.
resonances, yes. Thank you, Michael, for this extraordinary opportunity, because you've allowed, through your unique frequency, meeting in marriage with mine, we've really allowed our listeners, our viewers, to see the extraordinary palpability of just becoming a little bit aware of who these beings are, that they become these archetypal keys, these keys into our consciousness, so that we can feel divine promise awakening on so many levels. So I thank you deeply from within.
You are most welcome, and thank you, my brother. Before I ask, where can people go to find out more, and then we'll do a brief meditation with Rue, of course. Is there one more angel you would want to mention, and why?
Oh, my goodness me. I can't be partial. I'm just going to quickly see who pops forth. Who haven't we? Thank you.
You had referenced one.
There is a being of light, the angels, that is absolutely extraordinary. Not that they aren't all extraordinary. And this I wanted you to meet, Zadkiel.
Yes, that's the one that you referenced earlier. Exactly. Security.
Yeah, so there's a whole teaching here. Zadkiel surrounded by the flower of life, the sacred geometry. And of course, we all recognize that, the extraordinary meeting between Adam and the divine. Their fingers aren't touching. And so the word security comes forth. What other security could there be but our connection with the divine? Because the word secure in Latin means self-cure.
The answer is within. Right now, you mentioned somebody with a red button. I think we get to send lots of love to other parts of the world right now. I believe we have chosen to actually evolve to a higher state of consciousness. We will make it through this. However, I do believe we are feeling less of that security now than ever.
You mean because of the extraordinary changes that we're feeling unsafe and insecure?
We have this on many levels. So we are in an accelerator right now. So you had your agricultural revolution, your industrial revolution, your technological revolution. Everything is being compressed to all of a sudden it's one appearing, whether natural, quote, natural disaster, or it's fires, it's floods, it's COVID, it's war. Everything is compressed, I believe, like the rocket ship shaking before takeoff or the electron shaking before it hits a new state. And we are all feeling, I'm not ready. What's going on? Can we please slow down the ship?
That's an amazing oration. I'm mesmerized by that. It's a fascinating take. Thanks for sharing. A really fascinating take. Are we ready? Of course we're ready. But we're not if we sit here. We have to go into the heart. That's the big deal, isn't it, really? Because we've been educated and conditioned to be here. And how can we trust that the heart always knows and that the heart is the seat of the soul? So, but having said that, the evidence of the way that our public consciousness is awakening to the substance of the heart, the very fact that Brene Brown has just released her book, The Compass of the Heart, and that, what you and I have been talking about for many, many years, about how the only way forward is for us to discover a literacy, a feeling literacy, because we've forgotten how we feel. And here is Brene writing about, from her social science perspective, the 75 words that are feeling literacy that are most commonly used by we humans at this time. Wow, we're onto something really huge.
How does it get any better than that? How does it get any better than this? On that note, where can people go, Stewart, to find out more, to find your beautiful work, to find your books and everything?
StewartPearce.com, StewartPearce, not STU, STEW, and PEARCE, www.StewartPearce.com.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And why is your book, Diana, the Voice of Change, more important now than ever?
Ta-da! About the 2 years I spent, the last 2 years of her life, with darling Diana, coaching her. It's a vessel for the women of the world and the men of the world. It's a vessel which explores her essence and all of the details of the empowerment tools that we move through together, the prayers, the affirmations, the meditations, that allowed her to liberate her consciousness from being in prison, the prisoner of Windsor. She liberated her consciousness, plucked up the courage to say, I want a divorce, and then ignited her radiance and became this extraordinary being for the last, unfortunately, it was only a year of her life, her short life. But of course, her greatest gift was in her dying, when she awoke all of our hearts through that force of Shakti that was released. So yeah, it's become a bestseller, and it's the beginning of a project called the Diana Heart Path for the people of the world to come together in communion, co-creativity, and constructive union, where we can come together and really share, through her inspiration and her legacy, the wonder of our hearts.
I may well have to. There's got to be a better way to put this. I'm going to have you back in the future, Stewart. We're going to have to talk Diana.
She's very much with us, so she will come because of our connection and also the wonderment of your testament, your tabernacle. She will come through. She was with me right here all the way through writing. It was uncanny the way it happened, because I had a whole fleet of corporate seminars booked, and they were all cancelled. And of course, I went into a tailspin thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How can I foot the bills, And then suddenly she came zooming in. So for 3 months, I had Diana all to myself. And she wrote the book.
Last question then I'll go get Rue for the meditation. I'm sure you can't come up with one thing, but was there a message that struck you greater than any other from the other side, from Diana?
Always be true to yourself. Get out of the way of oneself, and stop fixating with the points of resistance. I have so much karma to burn off, just be true to yourself and love yourself. Love, 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 love.
Love, 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 love. How does it get any better than this? All right, be right back, Stewart. I'm going to go grab Rue and look forward to our meditation. Hold on. This is Rue.
I mean, it's just so beautiful, isn't he?
Hold on. There we go.
So beautiful. Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Rue, 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 Rue.
Now, his full name is actually because at first we thought he was a girl because he was only 5 months of age. So his name was Ruby, which became Ruby Roo, which became Ruru. So his full name is Ruby Ruru the Wonder Rooster.
And he has almost a ruby comb, doesn't he?
Yes, 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 yes.
He's so big.
He's as big as they get, from what I understand.
Big boy, big
He
boy.
is a big boy.
And does he have a wife?
He
Or many
has, well, because of our travels, he has at present two what we call stuffies. So, which are stuffed animal chickens that are his harem at the moment. So, what we learned about chickens and roosters, they're actually incredibly sensitive, energetically sensitive beings. If I'm on one end of the house and I have an errant thought, he will scream from the other. And so because of that, bringing more such sentient, empathic beings into the house, I can't see yet how to do that.
Wow. Wow. Best of luck. I mean, this is an extraordinary being, isn't he? He's absolutely wonderful. I feel his spirit so strongly. Amazing. I always wonder why they have such small eyes, because I know they see so much. But then I suppose the eye becomes their whole fuselage, their whole body.
He is a, a direct descendant of the dinosaurs. And by that, I mean, from what I understand, the eyes are so much better than ours, except for in dark conditions, because the dinosaurs weren't hunted at night, which means he can see the eagle way above, and he can see the tiniest worm down below. And he sees, from what I understand, I don't even know how it works, 12 different levels of light beyond which we can't see. So he'll see prisms, he'll see beams, he'll see geometric shapes, the works that he sees because his eyes are so incredibly attuned and evolved and sensitive. And so I liken it to when we have an errant thought or emotion, he's literally seeing from the other end of the house emojis of our energy.
Yeah, yeah. As a child, I saw sound. I can still do if I switch on in certain situations. And so I was always aware of how frequency existed through sound, existed through what I saw, through the color, what I saw through the light. And so I knew who to go to. I could feel it in my kinesthesia as well, but I knew who to go to, because it gets bewildering when you're very small. And I'm talking about what I'm seeing, and I realize that they're not seeing what I'm seeing. And yet, as an innocent, I thought everybody could see what I was seeing. So I quite get he's electrified by frequency.
Absolutely.
So let's electrify everybody through frequency.
Sounds good. We're game.
The Angels of Atlantis, and we'll use the silver white light of the pranic chord. Okay. I'm normally quite good at timing these things. It's innate.
There is no timing necessary. Just go with the flow.
Well, I'm also very appreciative of the economy of the situation, Don't want to labor everybody. Okay, so everybody, are you sitting comfortably? Meaning, are you feeling the weight of your body balanced through the pelvic area and the spine beautifully aligned, shoulders comfortable? If you wish, bring the tip of your thumb and forefinger together. You may have another wonderful mudra if you do, maybe bringing all the fingertips together. Of course, Michael is hugging Ru, which is an even greater mudra. And then as you balance, just feel the whole of your spine and imagine that the whole of your spine is illuminated with a silver white light. And just imagine it going all the way down through the base of your spine, through the chair or the floor where you sit, through all the varying levels of the building in which you're placed. If you're in nature, obviously you can accommodate that thought into the earth's crust, through the soil, through clay, through stone, through rock, and deep into the very bedrock, into the womb of Mother Earth, feeling how grounded you are, how connected you are, and feeling how she automatically comes to hold you through her unconditional love, which we call gravity. Ask her for a gift, ask her for a sign, ask her for a blessing. And whether you see or feel or know, don't worry, the energy will be with you as you siphon the energy up through the rock and the stone and the clay and the soil and the earth's crust and the basement of the building, through the floors, wherever you may be, until you reach the floor where you rest, and back into your body, seeing how the silver white light is brighter than it was before. As it moves upwards through your spine, just deposit any of the images or feelings into your heart's secret chamber as the laser beam continues up through your spine and then shooting off through the top of your head, through the building, through the atmosphere of the planet, into connection with the planet Venus, the nearest planet to us, Sister Venus, the planet of love. Anchor into Venus, and she will always accommodate your pranic cord. Beautiful. So we're going to breathe 3 times, expanding this pranic cord through the girth of your body and beyond your body. So if you can, please, just let all the breath go. Just blow it through your lips until you're empty. Feel the need to breathe, and then breathe in. And see silver white light passing through your body, awakening the pranic cord. Pause, and then let the breath go. And this time we'll expand through the whole of your body. Feel the need and breathe in, wide and deep. And feel how the pranic cord is now the girth of your body, and let the breath go. Empty. Feel the need to breathe. And then once again, breathe in. And feel how now the pranic cord is not just the girth of your body, but also stretching into the entire content or parameter of the room where you are placed. And then let the breath go. And now we're going to sound the Om through your heart. So big breath in, and through your heart, let it go on. Om. And then recovery in, and pause, and let the breath go, and just soak in this wonderful feeling of stillness. And as you soak in stillness, just soaking in the very essence fabric of your being, in other words, soaking in soul, your soul, my soul, our soul, the soul. And the weight of your being, the weight of your body, allowing you to steep. And then just feeling how your skin suit gives you shape, the parameter of you, and how within your skin suit are the 5 senses that give the shape to your consciousness. Feeling, 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 feeling. The feeling of feelingness of feeling. Hearing, 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 hearing. Hearingness of hearing. Smelling, smelling, tasting, tasting. And then whenever you're ready, just gently opening the eyes. And if you need to, just put your palms together, rub them, and place your hands over your eyes before you open your eyes into your palms, so that then when you open, it's not too glaring. And there we are, Homo Luminous.
Brilliant. And I must say, he woke back up because he startled himself. Out of all the guests we've had on and all the meditations, you just did the best job at taming the Rue. He fell asleep and startled himself because he completely passed out with the sound and frequency of your voice. And that is a brilliant thing, Stewart.
Rue and I are really connected on a heart level. Thank you, Rue, for being so contemplative. And Michael, thank you so much for this extraordinary opportunity. It's been an absolute ball.
Stewart, this has been beautiful, a treat, superlatives aren't strong enough. What a special honor, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get Angels of Atlantis, and begin plugging into your angels today. And above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! What a beautiful, special, sacred, resonant-filled interview with Stewart Pearce. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. To steal the words of Steve Jobs. Wordless. Wordless is the best way to put it. Highly recommend you connect with the Angels of Atlantis. Highly recommend you connect with your angels or guides, or simply energy on the other side of the veil. That's why we created the automatic writing experience. Your opportunity to plug in with spirit, to plug into angels, to plug into that voice of wisdom inside, outside, and all around you. You can find out more about automatic writing at automaticwriting.com. Along with live classes, you can find out how to be the mystic you were meant to be. Your empathic skills, your sensitivity is your superpower. You can find out about our School of Mystics at inspirenationuniversity.com. And if you click the join button down below, you can join our Mystic Circle with lots of behind-the-scenes videos, interviews, meditations, and much more, plus lots of candids with myself, with Rue, even with Jessica on occasion. Simply click that join button down below, and on that note, click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Be notified of upcoming shows, YouTube premieres, live events with me every Monday night. Of course, we're a podcast as well, so catch us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Here's the next amazing interview. Love you guys so much. Big thumbs up. Share with the world. And above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? Love you guys.